first speaker for today, the youth coordinator of KWSM, Chongneo. Let's open our hearts and welcome her.
Empowerment to consent executive na community secretary and tuning youth and for the video in sa program ng once again yung speaker di kamuzaw ka po yung speaker di ang po speaker ang nawa sa kipagdang sa 88 po That's a speaker of to be doing a sharing session. Don't have any to be this school was my father's out, not your to the mom. You did it, you are to focus here and you learn to come home and mom and things as you. You decide to take the ones of the I'll give a very short sharing session today. I'd like to start with a story. There was a lady in her deathbed in the hospital where she was admitted due to a severe heart attack. And she was praying to God in the hospital. She asked God, Lord, is this it? Am I going to die? But the Lord answered her and told her, not yet. In fact, I'll give you 30 more years to live. 30. And the next day she woke up feeling better, healthier. And the first thing she thought to herself was, if I'm going to live 30 more years, why don't I live looking beautiful? So the first thing she did as she got out of the hospital was she went straight to a clinic where she got Botox and she did surgery of her whole body and she also did her nose job, she changed the color of her hair, and she was now a completely different person. Not even her friends or her neighbors could even recognize her. And then one day, as she was crossing the road, she got hit by an ambulance, and she died on the spot. And now she was angry. So when she went to heaven, she asked God, Lord, you promised me 30 years, but why am I here within a month? And the Lord answered her, thinking for a while, he told her, I didn't know it was you. Now she died because God didn't recognize who she was anymore, because she was completely changed because of the Botox, because of the surgeries that she got. So through the story, what we can learn is that while we are busy with the worldly matters, how we look, we often become distant from God, and sometimes God doesn't recognize who we are. And as a Christian, we're all going to die one day. But when the day comes, we don't want to go to heaven, where God is telling you, who are you? Or I don't know who you are. Because that is the most hurtful sentence that we have to hear in our entire existence. So the question here, and my short topic today, is leading a life recognized by God. So how do we lead a life that is recognized by God? So the first and most important thing is by seeking God and doing His will. Verse 2. The Lord is with you when you are with Him. If you seek Him, He will be found by you. But if you forsake Him, He will forsake you. So we can see through this verse that it's pretty clear. If you don't seek God, then you won't find Him. But if you seek Him, then you will find Him. And with the story, and how do we seek God? The question, how do we seek God? How do we do His will and align our lives so that we become recognized by Him? I've laid out 4 important points that we can apply in our daily lives. So the first point, the most important point, is through prayer and indulging with the Word of God on a daily basis. I'm not bragging here, but I like to tell you how I usually spend my day. So for the last almost 3 years, I have changed my spiritual life or routine. And how I do that is that when I wake up in the morning, I wake up a little earlier. I pray to God and then I read the Bible. I have completed the Bible cover to cover a couple of times. I started all over again. And this time, I did it again. So every morning I read at least 2, 3, 4 chapters, and then I pray to God, and then I set out to work. So that's how I spend my day. And I believe if you do that, it's going to change your life. It's going to change the way you live your life. I'm not saying that you won't face any obstacle that day, but if you face obstacle that day, God will give you the intelligence and the power to how to solve that issue. So prayer, living a life with prayer and reading His Word is the closest way that we can connect with God. Because when you pray, you are directly connecting with God. I read a quote the other day that said, "Pray especially when you don't want to pray. Because something is also forcing you not to pray." And that hit me really hard. Because we live in a world where Satan rules. And if we don't pray and if we don't ask God to be in our lives, then there are so many things that can lead us away from Him. So the more you feel that you don't want to pray, pray. God will always be there with you. So the first point was pray and indulge in His Word. The second important point is having a positive filled attitude, filled with hope and faith. If you're not positive, I think the people around you at one point will get really, I would say, annoyed at one point. If you are friends with a negative person and that person keeps complaining about their day, about their life, or just keeps complaining, that I think at one point you all get tired. I have one kind of a friend that keeps complaining about our work, our day, everything, and at one point it gets to you and you become negative as well. So negativism is, I would say, like a disease. It can be spread across, your neighbors, or it can be your friends. So being positive among the negative world is a lesson. And how can you achieve that? When you have a strong relationship with God, you automatically feel positive. The inner you feels positive because you're filled with hope and faith. So that is very important, being positive. And the third important point is through your actions. So the way we talk, the way we treat others, sometimes we have to question ourselves at the end of the day. The words which I spoke to my friend or my neighbor, to the people around me, were they good, were they bad, or were they enough to pull someone down? So the way you talk, as I mentioned before, have a positive filled words, be encouraging, and always pray for others. I believe in something called silent prayer. It's like when you pray for your friends or someone that you know is struggling with something, and you pray for them, but you don't tell them. But you know that when that person or when God listens to your prayer and their situation changes and God blesses them, you know deep in your heart that, okay, you prayed for that person, so you know your prayers have been heard by God. So that satisfaction is a different way to do it. So I believe in not telling people. I pray for my friends all the time, I pray for other people, but it's good not to tell them because when you tell them, as I mentioned, silence prayer is powerful. If you do it, God will bless you even more than the person that you're praying for. And the last important point is stay encouraged and be an encouraging light to others. So when you are staying encouraged, when you have hope, when you have faith in life, then God is close to you. So if you keep thinking, how can I achieve that? Or how can I get that job? How can I pass that test? Or how can I become stronger or more faithful to God? Instead of thinking all those, you can say, I will become powerful, I will become rich, or I will become prosperous. If you have this kind of mindset, stay encouraged at all times, and I believe God will bless your thoughts, and you will bring your thoughts into actions in reality. So staying encouraged, be an encouraging light to others. Always encourage others instead of being, this is similar to the second point, instead of being negative, have a positive life, encourage. So staying encouraged and being encouraging to others really important as a question. So I'm coming to the end of my sharing session. So we will give you a brief about this talk in short. It's how we live a life that is recognized by God. So if you read the Bible often mentions youth as a very beautiful phase of our life. And if we use this phase of our life to connect with God and to strengthen our relationship with God, God will give us generational blessings, a future filled with blessings. Your friends might be partying right now, or your friends might be having fun, but you know you're going to church, or reading His Word, or praying. Then I believe you have much more than that person who is going to a party. So it's important to know that while you are in your youth, we feel energetic, we feel active, we have lots of ideas, creativity, and we have the strength to achieve anything that we want. And in this stage, if you seek God and if you abide by Him, then I believe God has a lot of blessings in store for you in your future. So, how do you seek God? I'll just give you a brief of the points which I'm going to make. First is through prayer and reading the Bible. The second part is having a positive filled attitude. The third, through your actions, to resolve the way you treat others, kindness, praying for others. And the last, staying encouraged and being an encouraging light to others. So that is a show more connected with God. So with this, I conclude my sharing session. And may the Lord bless us for and make us for each and every one of us. Before I close, kakama sa akin, executive also makipatuloy sa ilunin ito ni youth ko, hanggang pasok na kibaw ko naman yung youth ko, hanggang ko na yung kasama ng youth day, hindi ko ba happy executive also makipatuloy sa ilunin. Thank you.